Hello, my name is Adam Crawford. I'm a partner with Prince Evans Solicitors and head of New Build Homes. And I'm here just to give you a brief guide to the steps you'll go through as a first time buyer when you instruct a conveyancer. Prince Evans are well placed to advise first time buyers. In fact, we recently won the award for Best Law Firm for Conveyancing from First Time Buyers magazine, who I'm doing this presentation for today. So let's get started. So firstly, what you need to know is what is conveyancing. As a first-time buyer, you may not be familiar with this term, but conveyancing is quite simply the legal process of transferring legal title or ownership of the property or land from one person to another. So just what we're quickly going to cover today is finding and instructing a conveyancer, the steps pre-exchange, pre-completion, what happens on completion day, and post-completion. So firstly, when you find the property you'd like to buy, you will need to obtain some quotes for some conveyancers and then confirm to them that you would like them to act on your behalf. Now, when you're shopping around for quotes, don't necessarily take the cheapest quote. Make sure you find someone that you feel comfortable with, someone that you feel will give you a good service and that you can have a good relationship with. It's also really important to make sure that the conveyancer specialises in whatever type of purchase you are undertaking. So if, for example, you're buying a new build property, make sure you instruct a solicitor, a conveyancer that has experience of new build homes, and the same for if you're buying a shared ownership property or a help to buy property. So once you've instructed your conveyancer, they will issue you with a client care letter and they will request money on account, normally in the region of around £300. They will ask for your identification and they will also ask for evidence of your source of funds. Now, some buyers get a little bit irate being asked to evidence how they've saved their deposit. Unfortunately, that is a legal government requirement. So you will need to evidence how you've accumulated your deposit funds, whether that's from a gift or from your own savings or from inheritance, etc. And you'll be asked to give documentary evidence to support that. So the next step will be for the sales agent or developer to issue a memorandum of sale to both the buyers and sellers conveyancer. That will confirm the price that's been agreed, anything else that's been agreed as part of the sale, and will confirm to all parties who is acting on behalf of the buyer and the seller. So you will then need to return your ID, evidence of source of funds, and pay your money on account. That's the initial steps. So on to pre-exchange. The seller's conveyancer will issue contract papers to the buyer's conveyancer. Now, contract papers will include a draft contract for the sale. It will include title information. It will include any forms that the seller has completed in respect to the sale. So things like fittings and contents forms that show you what the items the seller will be leaving and what they will be removing from the property. Your conveyancer will then apply for searches. This would typically include a local authority search, which reveals things like the planning history of the property, a drainage search, which will reveal whether the property is connected to main sewerage and mains water, and an environmental search, which will reveal whether the property is at risk of any contaminated land or flooding. So your conveyancer will then review the contract papers and the title documents in detail and will raise any questions that they feel are necessary of the seller's conveyancer. Now, at some point, it might not necessarily happen in exactly this order, but your conveyancer will provide you with a report, typically called a report on title, with the contract for signing, but they will also explain the legalities of the transaction. So if you're buying a leasehold property, they will explain the lease to you. If you're buying a freehold property, they will explain to you any rights or any covenants that you need to observe. Your search results will be received at some point and your conveyancer will check these and again will raise any inquiries that are necessary of the seller's conveyancer and will provide a report to you on the search results. In the meantime, you should have been taking steps to apply for your mortgage. Now, your conveyancer doesn't just act for you, they also act for your mortgage lender. So when your mortgage offer is issued, a copy will also be issued to your conveyancer and they will check through this, see if there's any conditions that the lender requires to be satisfied. and then they will provide a report to you on the legalities of the mortgage offer, together with a mortgage deed for signing. Now, it's important to note that your conveyancer cannot provide you with any financial advice, as they are not qualified to do so. They can only advise you on the legal aspects of your mortgage. So any questions on the financial aspects should be referred back to your financial advisor. So once all these points are satisfied, you can return your signed contract, your signed mortgage documents, and pay your deposit. Typically, you will pay 10% deposit on exchange of contracts. This is not to be confused with what you consider to be your deposit. You might be, for example, putting down 20% with a mortgage covering the other 80%, but on exchange of contracts, only 10% is payable. You may only pay 5% if you are buying with a 95% mortgage, or if you are buying with Help to Buy. So once all of that's received, we are effectively ready to exchange contracts. Now, bear in mind that if you are in a chain, you can only move as fast as the slowest party in the chain. So you have to wait until everybody is ready to exchange contracts. But once they are, you can agree a completion date with all parties and provide instructions to your conveyancer to exchange. So once that's all happened, contracts have been exchanged, and that's probably the first time where you can celebrate, because you are then legally committed to purchase the property. A completion date will be fixed, and you'll have certainty that your purchase is going ahead. So what happens between exchange and prior to completion is your conveyancer will submit a request for mortgage funds from your mortgage lender. The seller's conveyancer will confirm the amount that is required to complete. So if you're buying a leasehold property, this may include apportionments of any sort of rent and service charge. And your conveyancer will then provide you with a completion statement showing you how much you need to pay to them prior to completion to be able to complete on the completion date agreed. Your conveyancer carries out pre-completion searches with Land Registry. This includes a bankruptcy search to make sure that you are not bankrupt, and also a priority search against the title to make sure that no one else has lodged any application against the title, to ensure that we can register you as the owner without any hiccups. So your mortgage advance and your funds will then be received in order to complete, and that moves us on to completion day. So on the day of completion, your conveyancer will send the completion balance to your seller's conveyancer, and upon receipt, they will telephone the buyer's conveyancer to confirm that they have received the funds and released the keys. At that point, completion has taken place, and the agent will be told to hand the keys over to you, the agent or developer, and you can then go and collect the keys, and that's the second point of celebration, because you are now a homeowner. So what happens after completion? Obviously, this concerns you as the buyer a little bit less, because this goes on in the background without too much involvement from you. But just so you understand the full journey, is that your conveyancer will file the stamp duty land tax return with HMRC on your behalf and pay any stamp duty that might be due. The seller's conveyancer will provide the completion documents to the buyer's conveyancer. These are the documents that are required to register you as the owner of the property. Your conveyancer will then submit an application to Land Registry to register you as the owner of the property. Now, that registration can take anything from a month to as long as 9 months, depending on the nature of the transaction, and obviously depending on Land Registry and how busy they are at that time. And COVID restrictions certainly have not sped that process up. So once registration has been completed, your conveyancer will send you a copy of the deeds to the property. Now, many people think that they will get a sort of official bundle of deeds, but many years ago, Land Registry switched to being electronic. So all you now get is an electronic copy showing you as the registered owner. That is stored at Land Registry. So there's no need for a sort of a big bundle of deeds anymore, but that will evidence that you are now officially the registered owner of the property. And that's all. Thank you for your time.